Welcome to Life on Life's Terms with your host Kenny, and we have a special guest in the house today, Mrs. Rose Golick from Rose's Remedies. We're going to get into why Rose is in the industry she's in, what are parasites in the body, how is traditional therapy combined with energy work, what is Rose's suggestions on diet and nutrition, and in her opinion, how can we take back control of our lives from the inside out?
Hi.
Hi, Rose.
How you doing?
So recently, I went to Rose for help and information. I wasn't doing so good internally, and I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I could tell that there was some detoxing that I needed to do. And I'm, like I've stated many times before on numerous episodes, I'm an advocate for colon hydrotherapy, and I really believe in it. And a friend of mine who I spoke with, he was the first person that I know that went and seen Rose, and he referred her to me. And I seen him yesterday at the mall, and when I told him that you were coming on the show today, Rose, he's like, "You tell that lady she saved my life."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I had
Nice
to go.
to hear.
I had to go check her out, and I know last month it was diet and nutrition, and I desperately wanted to have Rose in last month to talk about colon hydrotherapy, but I guess we're just going to have to move it over to this month, and we can look at aliens in a different sense.
Sounds good.
Cool. So please, what's the story behind you getting into this industry?
Well, years ago, way back in my 30s, I had gotten really sick.
Way back in your 30s?
Yeah, years ago, yes.
What, like 5 years ago?
No, like 30.
Well, something must be working, Rose.
Oh, thank you. Well, detox diet, huge, I believe anyway. Yes.
Okay.
It served me well, actually, so yeah.
Oh.
I got sick years ago and was in the medical or doing Western medicine for about 2.5 years, and nobody could really figure out what or understand what was going on with me.
So you were sick and you didn't know what it was?
Right, and no one could help me. I've seen several specialists and doctors, and just everybody was kind of just baffled by what was going on with me. So this is kind of long story short. I had done and tried many different things, and the medications that they wanted to put me on, I was so sick that I couldn't even take the medication, so that wasn't an option.
So when you said you were really sick and you didn't know what it was, what were some of the symptoms that you were...
Basically, I just woke up one day. It was so, through the years, through my early years, I wasn't taking proper care of myself. I was always sick as a child, and as I grew up, there was always antibiotics and lots of them, and creams with cortisone and that sort of thing. So a lot of stress in my life at that point in time. And so when it really hit me, I was going through a divorce, a single parent, and I just one day couldn't get out of bed. I just ached from head to toe and just like fluish, but to the 10th degree.
Yeah.
So I'd lost 35 pounds in a week, and I was never big, so it was horrible because I was
noticeable.
Yeah, extremely noticeable, like anorexic or something. Like it just looked horrible. And so through my journey, I was seeing this was kind of my last ditch attempt. I was seeing a specialist downtown, and I just already had in my head, if no one can tell me what is wrong or give me any signs of hope or anything, I was done. I was checking out. I was tired. Like for about the first year and a half, I could barely even eat.
You were ready to give up.
Yeah, the fight was already leaving, and because it was about 2.5, 3 years of fighting, and it's a lonely place to be when you're that sick and nobody knows what to do with you or nobody understands, and until you really walk somebody's shoes.
Must be terrifying.
It was terrifying. Yeah, and then being a single mom on top of that was even, my kids, I think at that time were about 2 and 3.
Oh,
So I was going to the specialist downtown and decided if they can't come up with any kind of condition or any kind of hope that I could grab onto, I was checking out. So I went there and there was really, went through some testing, talked to a guy, and they were baffled as well. So on my way home, I was on the bus and I was writing my will. And I wanted my mom and dad to take my girls. And this guy walked on the bus, and I'll never forget him to this day. His face is like just etched in my mind. He walks in, or walks on the bus, sorry, and he walks by and then comes back and asks me if he could sit beside me. So I'm not in the best frame of mind. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Well, have a seat.
yeah.
And I'm writing my will. So he goes, he says, you really don't look well. He said, do you need help? Like, I can walk you home. Do you need any help, assistance? Are you going shopping or anything? And I said, no. I said, I'm okay. I'm on my way home. That I've been sick for quite a while, and thanks for the offer, but I'll be okay. So he hands me this card and he says, you have to phone this man because he's going to help you. So I was watching him get off the bus, and he literally, because it was close to my house, and he literally like disappeared. It was like I was trying to see what direction he was going. And at that moment, I knew that was like a prayer answered.
You think it was an angel?
He was my angel.
He's your angel.
And I still get really emotional talking about it.
Well, I just got goosebumps all over. And
yeah, it was, I can't even put it into words. But at that point, I just knew I was going to be okay. So I got home and I phoned this man, and he was 82 years old, and he lived on White Avenue.
Yeah.
So I went to his house and I spent about 4 hours with him. And he did all this crazy testing. It was all woo-woo to me at that point, right?
Well, like, what did he do?
It was similar to the things I'm doing now, actually. The meridian testing, the KES4. So it was a lot of energy testing.
Yeah.
So he went through and after the 4 hours just told me everything that was wrong. And he said to me, well, he's like, you can beat this, but it's going to be a long road and a lot of work on your part. So if you're willing to do the work, you can make it. So I said, well, you're the first one in years that have given me any hope. And I have 2 daughters, and I'll just do
anything.
What it takes.
Yeah.
So my journey started there, and it was about a 15-year journey of getting better to get my health back to
Did you ever find out like what was wrong with you?
Yeah. At that point in time, and a lot of this stuff I didn't even understand it. Systemic candida. So I had candida yeast throughout the whole body. I guess that was probably the main source of my illness. It was shutting down my organs, basically.
So candida is like
it's a yeast fungus.
It's a growth of yeast.
Yes.
So if something is growing and living inside of us, it's an alien.
You betcha.
Right? Because it's alien to our bodies.
Absolutely.
And it's taking over.
Yes. And it was taking over and literally shutting my organs down. That's why the rapid weight loss, I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep anything in me whatsoever.
What is candida caused from? From what you've learned? From
my own experience and what I've learned is diet, medications. Like I said, as a young child, I was on a lot of different medications, and even older, I had really bad acne in my teenage years, so it started with all different acne medications. And I think the thing that tipped the scale for me was at this point, I was on an antibiotic for 6 years.
What?
Yeah, 6 years straight. And at that point in time, my physician, they didn't know any better. And
Yeah.
he just said it was fine. And the only reason why I quit it was because I was thinking of starting a family. So he said, well, if you're going to start a family, you have to quit your
Antibiotic.
antibiotics and blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, that's, I believe, with stress. Stress can really do a number on one's body. So, stress
Well,
and
like, so we need a certain amount of yeast in our gut bacteria, right?
right, exactly.
But maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, this is me trying to connect the dots in my own little mind, but maybe it was like the antibiotic you were on for so long was killing off the countering bacteria to keep the yeast under control.
No, the
No?
the antibiotic was killing all because we have all good and bad bacteria in our bowels. We need both.
Yeah.
And the problem is when the bad overtakes the good, we should have 85% bad and 15%, or sorry, 85% good and 15% bad. But so through stress, diet, nutrition, and all the
And combination of different chemical medicines.
right,
Yeah.
it just the bad bacteria just took over my whole body.
Oh my goodness.
Which, I had no idea this could even happen to somebody.
So
So,
and then maybe like the soreness and everything that could have been caused by like inflammation from all the yeast and in your system.
well, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. That was the one thing, Western medicine, plus this guy, he was a naturopath. And at that time, I'd never even heard of a naturopath, but that's who he was. He was way ahead of his time. So I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I guess one of the blessings in my illness was they wanted me on all these meds for my arthritis, for the pain, and they said I'd be in a wheelchair in 5 years. And so that put the fear of God into me as well, because I'm thinking, I have 2 little kids. I cannot be in a wheelchair, right? So I started taking the meds. I wasn't even on them for 1 day, and my body was just so sick that it just wasn't happening. So I stopped the medication, and then through my healing through detox and diet, I got rid of the rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're active every day.
Active every day, yes. I feel better now than I've ever felt. Like when I compare myself back in my 20s, 30s, oh my, it's like night and day.
You see, and this is really hits home for me because both my mom and my girlfriend have rheumatoid arthritis. My girlfriend was diagnosed with it when she was 7. And
Wow.
so I've already introduced you to my girlfriend, and she's going to be
Yes.
coming to see you.
I
but
hope she does.
Don't worry, I'm going to get my mom in there too after.
Awesome. Yeah, because you can turn it around, but it takes a lot of work. And not only diet, nutrition, also your mindset. Your mindset is huge. Like it can make or break you, I believe.
Well, yeah, like just like how the placebo effect works. Like,
Right.
if you believe that this pill that you're taking is going to do it, then all of a sudden your body starts kicking into gear to that belief and making it happen.
Yes.
And like it's proven scientifically that placebo effect works. So going into it with a belief that it's going to help you, then it will help you.
Well, and I've always been told I'm super stubborn, and I think that's a good thing because I really feel that stubborn and no, this ain't bringing me down. I think that pushed me through and made me
Resilient.
resilient, exactly.
So excluding the yeast, like what other like methods of detox and everything did you use to like get your life back?
So in the beginning, when I was with this naturopath, because I wasn't eating, my body was totally deficient of everything. I had trouble even keeping water down. So basically, he had a protein shake that I started taking. Uh, I remember correctly, it was about 3 or 4 times a day. So I started out with that, started trying to drink more water, and then slowly, eventually, had me adding foods, certain foods. So for the longest time, and even I guess to this day, it's just kind of inbred in my mind. Just no sugar, no dairy, nothing with yeast, and gluten. Those were the main sources that would feed the candida.
Yeah.
So when you look at those nutrients, I mean, I was like, okay, what do I eat? Like
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because I mean, and it was and my diet. I mean, I did everything and anything, and drank like a fish, and my diet was horrible. So I mean, absolutely, all that contributed. So having to make this whole lifestyle change in the beginning was extraordinarily hard for me because I didn't even know how to start, right? So, but as time goes on and you start feeling better, that gives you the drive to just keep on doing what you're doing. And so basically, I started eating to fuel my body instead of just eating
For
just
pleasure.
because pleasure, emotional junk, going out drinking one night and 3 in the morning you're at Mr. Subway or whatever, right? So it all, yeah, it didn't happen overnight, the change, that's for sure. It took quite a few years just to completely change my lifestyle. And at the time it was also difficult because you got to think I was quite young. So all my friends, my relatives, everybody, well, I'm sure they were thinking I'm hypochondriac because when you looked at me, beside the weight loss, it wasn't like I was like deadly sick if you looked at me, but inside I was dying. And so it was really hard for people to understand. So along the journey, like I had to quit drinking, so I quit going to bars and going out, and I smoked like 25 years at least. So that had to go. So in my journey along that way too was hard because you lose
Your
people
It's part of your identity.
absolutely.
And you become attached to these things. Because I've gone through the same thing with like getting out of like criminal behavior, criminal lifestyle, along with, going through multiple different levels of addiction numerous times.
Yes.
The friends that you associate with, you have to kind of remove them and replace them. And also like just like your daily do you have like now what's your do you have like a practice that you get into, or that you have like daily, like a daily ritual that keeps you like focused and on point, and to keep yourself from slipping back into like old habits?
Yes.
Or even just apathy, because that's a big one for me.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the fear of going back there. It's like I never want to relive those years, and they were long, hard years, right? And so that keeps me straight and narrow. And plus the fact I just feel amazing. And my goal is to live to 120 healthy and happy. So hopefully I can reach that. But yeah.
So now, like, after having this like huge life altering experience, healing, now you're just setting out to give it back to other people.
Yeah, that's my goal for sure, and it's very rewarding. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I started out with reflexology years ago, went to school for that. Then got into more the energy side. Through an illness, at least from my perspective, I had a lot of spiritual encounters, I guess I could say. That because at the time of my illness, I was wondering, is there a God? Why me? I had a lot of questions, and I wasn't even sure if there was God or however you want to put it, your higher power.
Yeah.
So through my healing, it was shown to me in several occasions. And one was that angel, the one on the bus. He was my first spiritual encounter. And then it just kept situations would arise, and it would just confirm that we're not alone and there is a higher power out there, whatever you choose that to be. And yeah, you're taken care of always.
So, like, when I was all fanatical about colon hydrotherapy and I was going around preaching it like the word of Jesus,
I get it.
In jail, like, because, like, after my first, I went for colon hydrotherapy. I got 10 colonics done. And then I just started to replace my replace the good bacteria with probiotics, because colon hydrotherapy, like, cleans everything out.
Yes. Well, that's not true.
No?
No.
Okay.
Let me just,
Here, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll come back
sure.
to that.
Okay.
And then, telling people that, you have the power to take your health and your life back in your own hands, and that, you can do that by detoxing. And then, like, and this is, like, my belief, and I would tell this to all my close friends, is that, like, once you get rid of the toxins in your body, it opens you up to be able to connect yourself to source and connect yourself to a different, like, realm or different
vibration,
dimension.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once we get rid of a whole bunch of toxins in our body, and this is my own pseudoscience theory here, is that we can stay and remain at a higher vibration all the time. With less toxins in our body, we can have clearer thought patterns and able to connect mind and heart a lot easier, therefore making us more susceptible to manifestation.
Yes.
And also healing, and to be able to have, like, that direct communication with source, whatever that may be for the individual.
Absolutely.
So I was going around preaching that for years.
Yeah, right with you. And it is so easy. Like, people, we as humans, I feel, I did it myself. We always make things harder than what it is. So,
Story of my life.
yeah, and really it is all so easy. We can make it very easy. And even just a prayer, however you want to connect with your source, it's that easy. Just say what you need and what you want, and they do take care of you. Whatever you believe that source is, you will always be taken care of.
Cool. So, what is colon hydrotherapy?
So colon hydrotherapy is cleansing the large intestine. So going back to what you said about the taking out all the good bacteria, it doesn't do that. We have a lot of impaction on the walls of our colon. So people on average, 5 to 20 pounds easy can be sitting in the colon, the large intestine.
5 to 20 pounds of shit.
Yes.
Poop. Sorry, poop.
Yes. And it's like almost like cemented, because this is years, right? And it's layered, and it's got mucus and parasites. And so there's a lot of, because it's there for so long, it's basically just, cemented to the walls of the colon.
Is there always parasitic growth in the colon?
Yes. Parasites, same with bacteria, there's good and bad. We need all of it, but it's just when it takes over, that's when we're in trouble.
Like an overgrowth.
Right. So the colon hydrotherapy, it acts like, it's like a sandblaster going in and doing like a really gentle scrub to the walls of the colon. So it is most effective, like at first, if you've never had colon hydrotherapy, to come in for 3 days in a row, at least the first 3 initially, because the more we hydrate, then the more we can loosen up, and the colon will start releasing the fecal matter.
Like a pre-soak at a car wash.
Right, exactly. So as we do that, as we're getting rid of the fecal matter, all the old stuff, the good bacteria actually has a chance to fertilize and repopulate. But with all the fecal matter in there and the bad bacteria just from diet, food, wherever we're getting it from.
Dehydration.
Dehydration is a huge one.
Too many wobbly pops leave you
Yes.
real thirsty. And like if you're thirsty, that means you're really dehydrated.
For sure. You're past dehydration if you're feeling that. And coffee's very dehydrating. Anything
Even though
caffeinated.
coffee is made from water,
Yes. Absolutely.
because it's a diuretic, because it
The
makes you pee.
caffeine.
The caffeine.
The caffeine, yeah. So it's going to dehydrate you. Anything with caffeine, sodas, pops, whatever, they're going to dehydrate you. So the best possible thing is just drink clean water. That is the best thing you can do for our bodies, for sure.
Okay.
And lots of it. So as we clean out the colon, like initially somebody had told me about colon hydrotherapy. I didn't have a clue what it was. And it was actually I was very intimidated because it's not a topic we talk about freely. At least maybe now it's getting more, but not back then.
I always talk about poop at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And get in trouble for it.
We do too. That's a main conversation in our house. And trust me, the girls' boyfriends, when they first started coming along, they just like sat there in shock and
Just
kind of
ignore my mom.
Exactly.
She's a little crazy.
Yeah.
She's going to talk about poop. What?
But the more they're around us, though, they're becoming part of it as well. So that's cool to see true transformation in them as well, right? So
So you do colon. How many colonics do you think that you've performed on other people? Just ballpark.
Oh my, thousands.
Thousands.
Like I've been doing it for 14 years, so yeah, a lot.
Okay. And like, what's the biggest parasite you've witnessed with your eyes through the clear tube come out of somebody's ass? What's the biggest one?
It was, okay, so there's a tube on the machine. It's probably about a foot. So you can see everything going by as we're cleaning the colon.
And there's like lights behind it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Lights behind it. So everything's there. You see what is coming out. And for a lot of people, that's actually the first step to turning their health around, and because they're actually physically seeing what is in their body. And it can be scary. So I had this one gentleman, and as I'm doing a cleanse, I'm putting in the water, and then so you put in water and then release. It's like a constant in and out, just flushing, right?
Yeah, there's like a one-way valve on the tube, like right as it goes into your butt. And then that pushes in water, and correct me if I'm wrong, at 0.5 psi, right?
Yes. Well, not 0.5, no. So we don't go above 2.
0.2 or 2 psi?
2 psi.
Okay, and then there's like a pressure gauge on the machine,
right,
where it tells you, and you don't want to go over 18 psi inside the colon. Is that correct?
Well, it's 2 pounds. So when we actually have a bowel movement, we use at least 4 or 5 pounds of pressure. But with colon hydrotherapy, usually when people get to the 1 pound of force, then you start feeling it
queasy.
uncomfortable. Yeah. So, but we never go past 2 because we just don't want to ever endanger rupture. Yeah. Which has never happened, by the way.
Okay. Good.
But yeah.
And they taught you that at school where you went for colon hydrotherapy.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. It's quite an intense. When I went to school in Vancouver, Prime Pacific Innovations. They were amazing. Love them. And so they actually send you, because it's worldwide, so there's students from all over the world. So that was a really neat experience as well, because there was people from Mexico, Poland, Australia, the States, Canada. So it was really neat just seeing all the different walks of life coming in.
All learning the same
all
stuff.
All learning the same stuff, yeah. So they send you all your learning material about 6 months before you go to school. So you study before that. And then when we actually went to school, it was 14 days. So for ours, it was long days. Like some days it was like 7 in the morning till 10 at night. So we had all our schooling. The last day we had 3 government exams that we had to pass to be certified.
Yeah.
And then 5 practicums, I believe I had to perform as well. So,
We got off topic. How big was the biggest
yes.
parasite you ever seen? I want to know this shit.
So this guy, yeah, I could see it coming through the tube. He doesn't see it. Like I see it coming through the tube that's on the side before it gets in the front, what he can see.
And what color are these parasites? They're usually like a light flesh color, right?
They're whitish, or they can be a little pinkish as well. Okay. So they're called, main ones are called rope parasites, ROPE.
Okay.
So they just look like really stringing, like almost pieces of yarn, all interconnected together.
Okay.
So, I see this parasite coming through the tube, and it was about 3 feet long.
3 feet long.
This is, no exaggeration, no nothing. So the guy that I was doing the colon hydrotherapy on, he like lost his mind. He was like, oh my God, what is that, right? So, I mean, I was a bit terrified because I've never seen anything that big. So I was trying to keep calm and keep relaxed because I got to keep him relaxed, right? But inside I was like, oh my God, right? So, that was the biggest for sure.
Okay, so the person who did the colonics on me that taught me is what I know about it. She herself would do colonics all the time. She would she taught herself how to do them on herself while controlling the machine at the same time.
Yes.
And she, like, even after like 2 years of doing colonics or even more, she was able to get an 18-foot long parasite out of her, and she's a little girl.
Yes.
18 feet. And I know like I didn't pull my poop apart and pull this tapeworm thing out of there, but I had this, when I first seen a parasite come out of me, it wasn't during the colonic, the first one I went to, because it was just like a pre-soak of a car wash. It just, everything absorbed in my colon and water was going in, but nothing was coming out. And she's like, this is strange. So like I ended up going to the can afterwards and tapping out and saying, okay, I'm done. I feel really sick because all this water was getting absorbed in my colon. And I'm sure my colon was absorbing some of that. And these, I don't know if there was toxins going in there or toxins being released or what it was, but it makes you kind of a little queasy.
Well, you got to think, because everything's sitting there dormant for years. So here we're starting to flush, put water in. So we're mixing up all those toxins in your body. Everything's like coming alive. So that's why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
And like, so I went on that afterwards. I clenched my butt cheeks. I got off the table. I ran to the toilet and I sat on the toilet. But I was embarrassed because, like, you know, the girl was good looking and I didn't want her to smell my poop, right? So I was courtesy flushing.
Yeah.
And I regret it to this day. I should have been looking at what was coming out of me, but I wasn't. And I was courtesy flush, got as much water out of me as I could, and I sat there for another 20 minutes to shake off the shame of putting something in front of my butt in front of a stranger.
Yeah.
But then that night when I went home and I had a bowel movement, I turned around and I looked at it and I seen something that was just odd. It didn't look right. It wasn't poop. It was like, is that food? Like, did I not chew something? And it was like the color of like an uncooked French fry. And it was thin. And it was about like an inch wide, and it was like a ribbon, and this ribbon was wound in my poop, and it was a big poop. So like I can only imagine how long this thing must have been. It must have been feet, like at least 2 feet. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. I'm like, what the hell is that? She's like, that's a tapeworm, buddy. And I was like, I'll be back tomorrow. Get me in there. And I went back the next day, and then that next day after the pre-soak, I counted over 30 different alien creatures that came out of me.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite shocking because you really don't realize what's lurking in there. You really don't, right?
Yeah, it was like through the tube, I'd be like, turd, tapeworm, turd, ropeworm, turd, yeast buildup, turd, pinworm. It was like all these different shapes and sizes of critters.
Yes. And the cool thing also with colon hydrotherapy, because you got to think, when the colon is full and backed up, so all our other organs are as well. So when we start dumping the colon, start cleansing it, then all our other organs start purging all their toxins. So the liver, you quite often see like heavy metals, bile coming out of the liver. So yeah, every organ in your body is benefiting just from you cleansing the colon, which is really cool.
And like, so I was reading this detox book this morning just to like kind of get my brain fired up for this conversation. And it said in there that like, you know, even like skin problems such as like eczema
Yes.
is started from bacteria in the gut leaking into the body.
Yes. Every illness, well, what I've been taught in my schooling is like 95% of all illnesses start in the gut. So I totally believe that. There was a saying in school we had always, they reinforced it, that, you know, life and death begin in the colon. And I truly believe that and can attest to that because through my healing journey, I had done and tried many, many things. And then until somebody introduced me to colon hydrotherapy, and I initially did 12 sessions, well, it was life-changing. And I had enough energy, enough focus to go to school. I hadn't been in school for a long time because the brain fog, the unable to just concentrate or absorb anything was near impossible. So once I had those 12 sessions, it was like night and day.
Yeah, and I can attest to that too. Like I totally experienced the same thing that after I think it was like after my second colonic, I remember walking outside and my mom came with me because I was scared, so I brought my mom. She was in there getting an ionic foot bath where you like sit your feet in this bucket of water that has sea salt in it, and then you hook these two electric hooks onto this piece of iron in the water, like you're going to electrocute yourself, and then it puts this like small amount of electric current in the water that you can't feel, but it slowly starts pulling these toxins out of the soles of your feet.
Yes.
And
I do that as well. Ion cleansing.
Yeah. So you do that at Rose's Remedies as well?
Yes.
Cool. I want to come in for one of those again too.
Yeah.
But when I walked outside, it was like, I don't know. Have you ever done magic mushrooms?
No.
Okay. So I've had this experience on mushrooms before a couple times where like I would see like it was like I was wearing those red and green 3D glasses, and every like where I'd look, like whether it would be at the light or at the snow or at my friend, I would see like this green and red outline around them. And but it's like really majestic and like peaceful, and I kind of had a similar experience where it was I don't know, it was like calm bliss, and I just felt so present, and I can hear and I can hear clearly my thoughts, and my thoughts weren't like overrunning my mind. My thought was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm right here with you." It wasn't like, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's this and there's that, and there's this and there's that. To where, like, you know, the rat race contributes to like mental illness because we're trying to do a million different things at once. At this one time coming out of that colonic, I didn't have that voice chirping at me in my head. It was just there with me, quiet, waiting for me to like request something or do something.
It's pretty surreal.
It was,
really,
yeah. That's the word I was looking for. It's totally surreal. I've never felt anything like it before. And like from that point, I was able to read books, write essays, do work like without getting distracted. And actually, I've noticed. So I haven't gone for a colonic now in probably like 5-6 years, and I can notice my ADD coming back.
Yes.
And it has been like, and I get frustrated. I even said to my girlfriend last night, like I sit down to do something, and then I stand back up, and 3 minutes later, because I get distracted by some other thought. And I have a hard time like completing. Like sometimes I write blogs for this thing. It takes me like 5 hours to write a friggin' 700, 900 word blog.
Well, you need to come see me.
We're gonna, yeah.
It's so true, very true. Yes.
So, is there any risks to colon hydrotherapy?
Well, there's a health form that I get everybody to fill out. So, I mean, if you're having any kind of bleeding, obviously that's
Like blood in your stool?
blood in the stool. Somebody who's in a lot of pain, like either having, well, even like colitis
Yeah.
or Crohn's, unless you're in remission, and I know exactly what operations were performed, that sort of thing, I won't, take the risk of doing that. I'll usually ask for doctor's approval. Cancer in the colon, won't touch that. And sometimes hernias as well, depending where they are. I've actually, though, done colonics on a few individuals with hernias, but I really felt strongly and just felt in a deep, like inside of me, that it was fine and it was going to be okay. And it was. It actually reversed the hernias. So,
Really?
but there are a lot of precautions. Yeah. So filling out this form, and I mean, I've sent people out of the office because I just wasn't
Comfortable.
yeah, I just wouldn't, because I mean, I'm working on the person as well. And if somebody on my table, something happened to them, I mean, that's something I got to live with. So
Yeah.
I'm very cautious of, yeah. But overall, like the average, average Joe, I mean, there's no problems, and there never is.
I was reading this book on ancient civilizations and aliens and stuff when I was in jail. I can't remember it, but it was like written, I think like in the early 80s is, and like they had like different little pictures from like, Egypt or the Sumerians or, the Babylonians, and they would tell these stories and they would pull stuff out of the Bible and they would have stuff out of the Kabbalah and da 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 da, and all relating back to extraterrestrial. And I remember, and when I seen it, I like blew a gasket because I was in my prime of like preaching the word of colon hydrotherapy, and I came across this thing. Well, the symbol for the medical symbol or whatever with the
Yeah.
snakes wrapped around the staff. So that came from the Sumerians. And right as I was reading that, I came across saying the oldest recorded medical procedure is a colonic.
Yes.
It was an enema, and ancient Sumerians from 5000 BC were cleaning their buttholes to prevent illness and promote longevity.
Yes, absolutely. That's how they used to do it. And then way back in the day, when antibiotics were invented, and this is just what I've read and learned, it's just, people have a choice. Do you want to take a pill, an antibiotic, or because anything health related, it's work. So do you want to work at it, or do you want the easy way and take a pill? And so that's your choice, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like it's convenient to take pills and have
Absolutely it
especially when we have 1,000,010 responsibilities to handle. But like for me, like the reason why I did colon hydrotherapy is because I was 10 days sober after like a 10-month bender and like heavy GHB, cocaine, methamphetamine, and alcohol on the daily basis. And like I was a functioning addict where I would get up and do whatever I had to do, but I would be high. And like the chances of me sleeping every night were very slim. Eventually I would sleep here and there just due to pure exhaustion. But I kept everything running at high revs per minute all the time. And so I was 10 days clean, and the reason why I like called my mom to come get me, I was sicker than a dog. I'd just been robbed of everything I had, and I honestly felt like I was gonna die. So I was like, "Mom, come get me. I need to sleep this off. I'm really sick. I'm dying." She's like, "Okay." Came, got me. I slept on the couch for 10 days. Not even the couch, the love seat for 10 days. And then like I started to get my energy back. I started to feel a little bit normal. But then came also like the cravings. Like, you know, I was 10 days without my chemical dependency running my life. I was jonesing, right? And then the person who did the colonics on me talked about her numerous times on the show. Her name's Ivy. I have permission to talk about her. It's okay. She told me, she's like, yeah, my dad quit drinking after his second colonic. And I was like, what? She's like, he didn't plan to quit drinking. He didn't have intention to quit drinking. He just did.
Yep.
And like, so she didn't tell me at first what the fuck I was going to see come out of me. But I'm sure that the same thing happened with her dad. After he's seen something like some creepy crawler nightworm come out of him, he was like, that's it. I'm not drinking anymore. And so I took that approach. What's your opinion of the effects of colon hydrotherapy on addiction?
I think it's huge and it should be part of recovery. So my understanding of it is, and it doesn't matter if it's alcohol, cigarettes, tobacco, any kind of drug, whatever it is, when we're in addiction, these chemicals are deep seated in the muscle and the tissue. So like when I quit smoking, like 9 months later, I'm still craving a cigarette, right? So when you're craving it, it's the chemicals are leaching out of the muscle and the tissue.
And organs.
And your organs, absolutely. So that's when you want whatever it is you're addicted to. So with colon hydrotherapy, it's pulling all this stuff out and it's making one's journey for being sober huge. It just helps tremendously.
Because like, if you quit the substance out of sheer willpower, good for you. Like that's a task all in its own.
Absolutely.
But then to like maintain it is a whole different story. And like, because like addiction runs deep and like there's no one reason why people like even become addicted, but there are many variables such as like mental health, shame, guilt, abuse, trauma.
That's right.
Guilt. I think I said guilt. But there's all these different things that can play into it. Like I know people that have been meth addicts because they were overweight. So they did it to lose weight. So self-esteem issues. Fitting in, the feeling of not fitting in, and like being isolated and alone. But so like I was explained that the two primary parts of your body that hold toxins, your colon and your liver, and if you physically detox those two areas and remove the remnants of the drugs are no longer in your body to send a neurotoxin to your brain that causes cravings. And when I heard it like that, I don't know if it's true or not. It felt true.
Yes, it is true. Yes.
Good enough for me. Good enough. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So
it's like a huge help in recovery, and I mean, recovery from anything. I mean, it's body, spirit, mind, right?
Even a food addiction. I think absolutely. I think it would probably work the same, right?
It does, and the reason why that's another thing. Like when we have an overgrowth of yeast or parasites in the colon, we're wanting more of those carbs. We're wanting sugar. We're craving those foods because we're actually feeding those critters, those aliens in our belly, right? So once we start cleansing, people often comment to me, wow, like I'm not craving bread anymore. I'm not craving sugar anymore. I haven't ate chocolate for like 5 months, right? Like all those cravings go away and you actually start craving salads instead of donuts and chocolate.
Yeah. And like, so after I got this done, I had a healthy eating regime for a long time. And, but, I started to heal one area of my life and I didn't really heal the other area. And I didn't even see it as a problem, but it's like, why was I involved in crime? Right. And like the crime and what I was doing, my belief system on, like, I was like, the working man's a sucker, I'm never going to pay taxes again. I'm going to do whatever I can to create illegitimate income. And just like that whole, everything that comes with that lifestyle fed into my addiction again.
Yes.
But for like a good long year afterwards, I was really, really, really aware and conscious about what I was putting back into my body. But then I noticed that the longer I went without detoxing, and then like there was a couple relapses after that, and every time like, you know, I would relapse or something, my eating habits would get worse. You know, I would start drinking more pop, and I just wouldn't give a shit. I'm craving it, I'm eating it.
Yep.
And maybe it's because, you know, those big parasitic growths are starting to come back. It's having an effect on my thought patterns, my belief systems, and everything. So, you know, to the listeners, like, I'm going to go for some more colonics with Rose, and I'll be sure to update everybody on what type and size of critters that come out of me.
Well, it's interesting, even food, right? I had a client, I was doing a colonic on her, and corn. She hadn't had corn for 3 years. And here I'm doing a colonic on her, and corn is just flowing through the tube. Well, she was like, oh my God, I haven't had corn for like 3 years, right?
That's weird and gross and fascinating at the same time. And it didn't decompose or anything.
No, it was like fresh corn, just all out. Yeah, it was crazy.
Could have re-ate it.
Yeah.
So, I read this myth: our bodies detoxify themselves, and we do not need extra help.
Yeah, maybe. Well, my belief is maybe 100 some years ago, like when my parents or grandparents were growing up, they ate a lot differently than we did as well, right? There was no spraying the crops. There was no chemicals in the vegetables. The meats were clean. Like everything was clean. Plus back then, they didn't even have fridges. So when you think about it, everything was fermented, right? So the ferments as well help hugely in populating the good bacteria in your gut. So nowadays, I mean, everything's processed. You know, really, when we're eating, this is my opinion, when we're eating processed food, you're basically getting nutrition of eating cardboard. So that is, I find, is really sad nowadays, even with the younger generation coming in. They're raised on processed foods and Coke, and you know that's all they know, right? So their bodies are, and there's a lot of obesity, right? But their bodies are growing, but their brains are not being fed. Their bodies are not being fed the nutrition it needs to be healthy. So here we go. We're seeing all kinds of illness out there, from young to old. You know, way back then it used to be old. As you got older, you just expected things to happen. But, man, they're starting like 2-3 years old. You know, kids are sick.
Like,
so
how did my girlfriend get diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at 7? Like, what was the cause of that?
Absolutely.
Right? What were the eating habits, you know, from
And it stems from the mom, like the mom carrying the child. I mean, it goes back a long ways, and I think we're in a society where everything's quick. Everybody wants it now. Everybody wants a quick fix, right? Nobody has time to go home and cook a meal, you know, that sort of thing. But it's really crucial we do, because our bodies cannot keep up with all the toxins. It's in our environment, our air, our water, our food. Our bodies don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, and they store in our liver, our lungs, our colon, our kidneys, our skin, our blood, our
everywhere. Yes, our lymphatic system, that's like the sewer system, right? Like when it's all backed up, well, all kinds of diseases start from that, right? So in my belief, and I will be doing this till, like, I'll be doing colon hydrotherapy till the day I die. So we got to keep detoxing to be healthy.
Yeah, because it's almost impossible to avoid all the toxins. Like, it is impossible.
We can't,
because it's in the air.
That's right.
You know, and even if you're wearing one of those masks, it's in the water, and we just can't really get away from it.
Yeah, that's very true.
So when I went and seen you hooked me up to this machine. Well, not hooked me up. I held on to these two brass probes that
Yeah.
didn't probe me. That's for a different show. And they had these wires attached, and it went to this machine. And so this machine, to my understanding, it like kind of read my diagnostics.
Right.
And then the machine was hooked up to your computer, and you had like the double monitor thing going on like a hacker. So I was pretty impressed. And let's go into this. You told me that the machine is called Quest 4, and it was invented by a German scientist, and that's basically all I remember. But go into this machine that you use for these diagnostic testings.
Yeah, it is the CAS4, and it's meridian stress analysis. So this Dr. Voll, back in the 1950s, he invented all the heart monitoring equipment for hospitals. So when you go get a stress test or an ECG, anything like that, they're literally just sticking wires and little sticky things all over you. And then they have a computer at the side, and it basically is reading your energy. That's what it's doing. And that's been around since like the 1950s.
Yeah.
So Dr. Voll went a step further and invented this machine to go through the whole body, let you know what's going on in the body, the organs, your teeth, your emotional state, just absolutely everything, your food sensitivities, food allergies, what your body requires as far as supplements, or not. Like I can also test supplements that people are taking, and it can be showing up as really bad for the body. So when you're taking supplements or eating foods that you're allergic to or sensitive to, it causes inflammation in the body, which then causes disease. So it's based on like Chinese acupuncture with the energy channels. They're all mapped out in our body. So it's just going through reading all the pathways and letting us know the shape of the organs, the glands, anything symptomatic going on in the body. So, for instance, I have my best friend. She has been having trouble losing weight forever and never been able to get a hold on it. So I ran the test, went through everything with her, everything going on in the body. And the main thing for her as well was all her food allergies and food sensitivities. So I printed out her the list, and on the far right side of the list, it always say how many weeks you have to stay away from these foods.
Yeah.
So within a month and a half, she's lost 17 pounds by avoiding foods that are causing inflammation in her body, plus getting her on the right supplementation. The two organs I concentrate on are the colon and the liver, cleansing those through herbs. And then I make homeopathic drops. So in these drops, it's very individual to every person. So I'll put in your frequencies and your energies that you need your body to heal, like to go into homeostasis. So it actually teaches your body how to heal itself.
So my understanding, and I asked a lot of questions about these drops because it just wasn't clicking for me. And just to break it down, so to my understanding, it's kind of like colloidal silver or colloidal gold, where it's the drops are infused with the energy of the source. So like either the gold or the silver, but in this case, it's infused with the energy from our bodies.
Right.
And when I say energy, I mean like electromagnetic energy, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So it's infused with the patterns of it, and it's essentially, in air quotes, it's like a DNA. It's programmed with your DNA.
Yes. And also, like with your own frequencies and energies, I'm also making homeopathic remedies. So let's say the machine shows you have a lot of yeast, fungus in your body. So I'll make a homeopathic that's going to conquer the yeast as well, right? So like my homeopathic is you're taking light to heal, right?
Like
So,
a flu shot
yeah, yeah,
without all the heavy
without all,
metals and the
yes,
carcinogens.
exactly. Like my first experience with homeopathics, all through my life, I always had strep throat once or twice a year. So that's part of a lot of the antibiotics. So when I got really sick, I wasn't able to take antibiotics, had strep throat. Online, I found this doctor that did homeopathics. So I went to see him, and he said, yeah, I'm going to make you some homeopathics. There was about 6 different bottles, and I had to take each one every 2 hours for 10 days. And he goes, at the end of this 10 days, you will never, ever have strep throat again. So I took the drops. I did exactly what he told me to. Then, back in my mind, because all this was so new to me, I wasn't sure if it was really doing its thing or working or what. So I went back to the doctor's, and stress was gone. And that was like 30 some years ago. I've never had strep ever since.
Really?
Yeah. So that was my first experience with homeopathics, and that's what this is doing as well.
Yeah. So like, she gave me also like a list of my food allergies, and like it's not like don't ever eat it again. Avoid it. Like all it says in there is just avoid it for 6 weeks for each one of them, basically. And it's like let your body start healing, and you know it lets the inflammation go down. It lets the you know and when you're not eating these things that you're allergic to, you're going to be stuck eating the things that you're not allergic to that are going to replenish some nutrients. So let's go through, and I'm going to, I'll have to admit it here on air is I've been trying to adhere to this as best I can with my budget and my wife's cooking. So, I was asked to stay away from like caffeinated drinks, grains and rye, ginger, egg yolk, bran, out of fish, bass. Stay away from sweeteners like Splenda, pinto beans, refined sugars, gluten, white pepper, red leaf lettuce, cabbage, cream cheese, other dairy, thyme, dill, pea, spelt, pine nut, oats, oregano, pear, coffee, shrimp, onion, mayonnaise, iceberg lettuce, cow's milk, garbanzo bean, boysenberry, ice cream, herbal tea, sodium nitrate, salts, cherries, prunes, watermelon, goat, and fructose. So that was quite the list. I'm like,
It is.
fuck. I haven't had any ginger. I haven't had any rye. I haven't had any tea. I have not been able to quit drinking coffee, but I have cut down from like several a day to 2.
Nice.
I haven't had any Bass. I don't do sweeteners. Sugar, very, very minimal. My only added sugar I have is like a quarter of a teaspoon per coffee. So it's like less than 1. It's less than half 1. I really like cabbage. Like that's my like go-to salad mixture, but I haven't had any.
Good for you.
I haven't done any cream cheese, but I have had still a little bit of cheese. Where else did I slip? I had like a little bit of onion. So I ordered food and it came with a lot of shrimp. I usually like shrimp, but I gave all my shrimps away. So I didn't eat any shrimp. The rest of the spices were good. Ice cream. I've had ice cream once. But I did, and I haven't drinking any milk. Like I used to just like drink a glass of milk here and there, or like I think since I seen you, I've had 1 bowl of cereal, and that was like it for my milk consumption. I haven't drank any excess milk other than like a dollop of cream in my coffee. Very little, not as much as my girlfriend likes in hers. But overall, I felt really good. Like,
Did
have.
you notice less mucus or anything? Like, usually, if you have a lot of dairy products, it'll create a lot of mucus, like in the throat
Oh
or the
yeah.
sinuses, that sort of thing.
Yep. I have noticed like a lot of things changing.
Nice.
So I've actually noticed a lot of mucus in my poop.
Yeah,
So
that'll,
like it'll be like a slick come out, like,
yeah.
and I'm like, that felt different. Like what the? And I'll look down and I could actually see mucus in the water coming out of my colon, which is not usual, but I know more stuff's coming out. So she gave me like this pill called like something Exit. It's like a herbal remedy to help keep me regular and push out more toxins
And parasites.
and parasites. So I've been looking, right? And like
Yeah.
I see like, a little white thing, but it's not like a big, night crawler. It's just like a little pin. Like half of it's in my poop and an inch of it is like floating out. And I'm like, fuck, I think that's a parasite.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. And she gave me, I do shots. I take like a shot, kind of like how I used to take tequila, but I take a vitamin shot, it's kind of like this thick orange juice tasting stuff. And I slam a shot of it a day and it's got all my essential vitamins and minerals in it. And I notice like after I take that, I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah.
jacked.
I was just going to ask you, did you notice an energy
Oh,
difference?
jacked. Like
Yeah.
instantly clear headed, like ready to go. It says on there, like take with food, but I take it and I'm not hungry. I'm just like, ooh, let's go.
Yeah.
And I usually and that's helped me too, like with my intermittent fasting, like to make it to like 1, 2 p.m. That little vitamin shot like helps me. It probably turns my body, like takes my body out of ketosis because it's all the vitamins and nutrients, but whatever works for me right now. I felt like I'm getting a little bit slimmer.
Probably inflammation cutting down, like from avoiding those foods. Yeah.
For a while now, like the last, like I'd say like 4 or 5 months, I've had a heartburn. And when I ran this test, it said I had low magnesium, and you give me a magnesium supplement, and I think that's why my heartburn's going away.
The magnesium will help for sure. So, yeah, you need to get in for colonics because that's all, heartburn is all stemming from the colon for sure.
Oh my goodness gracious! But like I feel now like I'm not at the whim of life anymore.
Nice.
And I honestly feel that like, by becoming aware of food allergies and the importance of detox, I find that is me. I'm in control now.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome. The more knowledge we have and the more control we have of our own bodies, it's amazing what we can accomplish.
Yeah. So, what are the services that Rose's Remedies has and provides, and like what about your products and stuff like that too?
So I provide the services. I provide reflexology, ion cleansing, the CAS4, the biofeedback energy. What else? Aroma touch therapy. I also do that. That's like, it's more like kind of a lymphatic massage with using 10 different essential oils, and each oil has a significant, plays its role in what it's doing in your body.
Okay.
And what else?
Have you ever heard of that thing where they like look at the iris of your eye?
Yes, iridology.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing as well.
I seen it before, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it's basically gonna they can look in your eyes and tell everything as well as what's going on in the body. I had this one iridologist years ago who looked at my eye and could even tell at what age I broke my finger at.
What?
Yeah, and I didn't even tell him I broke my finger, and he took me right back there just by looking in the eye.
If
I don't
I
know
was an
what he saw.
iridologist, I would be a psychic.
Yeah.
Like, well, this and this happened.
Yeah.
Pay me. It's real. Pay me.
Yeah.
How much is the colonics?
Colonics, if you buy a package of 3, it's $90 per session.
Yeah.
Then you're always at $90. Your price never goes up. And every 6 session, well, it doesn't matter what I do, but every 6 session it's half price.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I found the price range from 85 to 115. That's the price range I found around Edmonton. It could have changed. That's been a while since I looked it up. So reasonable prices, excellent service. Now here's a dirty question. Does the client insert the tube in their own butt, or do you do it, or is it a combination of both?
Combination of both. Most people will insert it themselves, but then there's the few that just can't. So I help them.
Because there's a big stigma around that. That's why my mom
Absolutely.
hasn't gone. She's like, oh, the effects are good. Oh, that's really good to hear. I'm like, yeah, when you going, Mom? Never.
Yep.
Why? Hemorrhoids?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm sure they've seen their share. She's
Yes.
probably going to I'm not going to tell her I said that on there. Sorry, Mom. Love you.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first started, probably 90% women and 10% men. When
Yeah.
I first initially started with colon hydrotherapy. So now it's probably about a 60-40. 60 women, 40% men.
Well, and there's like tons of like other benefits and like even like cosmetic or absorption benefits. So like if you're a bodybuilder and you need to absorb nutrients and you've plateaued, go get colon hydrotherapy, clean out your colon, because now you're able to absorb the nutrients into your colon that you weren't able to prior. You'll be able to put on more weight quicker,
100%.
more muscle mass.
Yes.
If you're into anal sex, colonics are highly recommended, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
I
lots
would
of
say
different
so.
things that this could benefit other than just health,
Yeah.
right?
But health is key, for
Health
sure.
is key. Health is number one, yeah.
It is life-changing. If anybody, and each to his own, and but if people are just open enough just to try it, that's all you have to do is try it. And
Yeah.
it's either going to be your thing or it's not. But at least you tried it. You formed your own opinion about it, and, yeah.
And weight loss too. So the second time I went, and
Yes.
I'm a little guy. I'm 5'5" with my shocks on, right? I'm small. And the second time I went, I lost 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I weighed myself before, I weighed myself after. 9 pounds of poop
Yes.
stuck on the mall walls.
One lady I had, she was probably the most, 15 pounds in 2 sessions.
Wow.
But then it can go the other way too, because you're full of water. So some people will weigh themselves and they actually weigh more. But because they have all that water in the colon, and it'll take about a day or two for it to get released.
Yeah.
So it may be
Yeah.
yeah. Giving you the wrong information as well.
Well, I think that's it. I think we're hitting time, and it was awesome to have you on the show. Finally,
you.
I got my colon hydrotherapist on the show to really talk some shit.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys having me.
And what's your website, Rose? People can check you out.
The website is www.rosesremedies, ROSESREMEDIES.com. You can call or text 780-945-0395 as well.
Excellent. So hit her up, get some info, book a session if you want to. I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe and share with all your friends. You can find the After the Show blog at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. Please drop us your email and become a Pride member at your soonest convenience.
Thank you.
Adios, guys. Love ya.
Bye-bye.